Today on Legally Us, we clarify what can really happen between Scheana Shay and Raquel Leviss during the Vanderpump reunion. Plus, Tiger Woods fires back at his ex, Michael Lockwood files to represent his and Lisa Marie's twins in a trust battle, and Kyle Chrisley is arrested. We've got that plus so much more on today's Legally Us. Everyone, welcome to Legally Us. I'm Christina. That's, of course, Neama Rahmani, President and CEO of West Coast Trial Lawyers and former federal prosecutor. Hi, Neama. How are you?
Hi, Christina. How's it going?
Good, good. A lot of people were talking last week after news broke that you were representing Sheena in her case against Raquel, who was granted a temporary restraining order. So I wanted to read some of those comments. Atherton said this makes a mockery of restraining orders, which is sad for people who legitimately need one. Team Sheena on this. And another person, Lauren, said this is exactly why Raquel filed, to keep Sheena from releasing info, the actual truth. We all know that Sheena didn't punch her. So it seems like a lot of people are Team Sheena in all of this.
Well, we love the fans that are Team Sheena. Obviously, I'm Team Sheena, and that's absolutely right. I mean, our civil and criminal justice system is intended for victims of violence and, domestic violence, people who are attacked, not because there is, a disagreement between former best friends and, an argument because one person disagrees about another one having an inappropriate relationship. So this is not how our system of justice should be used. Obviously, we disagree with Raquel filing this police report and this restraining order. And to the extent that we need to litigate it, we will litigate it and we will win.
Definitely. Since we're on the topic, let's just continue to talk about Sheena and Raquel, because we spoke a little bit about it last week, but a lot of people still have questions about how this will affect the Vanderpump reunion, which is set to reportedly film next week. So there's this document that's been floating around on some of the Bravo blogs claiming that in the restraining order document, Raquel did not check the box under the personal conduct order that states contact the person either directly or indirectly in any way, including but not limited to in person, by telephone, in writing, by public or private mail, by interoffice mail, by email, by text message, by fax, or by other electronic means. So did she not check that box? And what does that even mean?
Yeah, Raquel didn't check the box, but the judge still ordered Sheena not to contact Raquel. So it really doesn't matter what Raquel requested. She's requesting a restraining order, and the judge in this case did order Sheena to stay away from Raquel and not to contact Raquel. So that's the order that's currently on the books right now, and that's the order that's going to be in place on a temporary basis, at least until March 29th. That's the permanent restraining order hearing. So regardless of what Raquel requested, Sheena is a law-abiding citizen, and she's going to follow that order.
Right. So are you surprised that Bravo is not pushing this this reunion till after this hearing?
Now, Christina, this is where sort of the law and entertainment intersect. And frankly, I don't know what Bravo is going to do. It'd just be speculation on my part. But I do know that Sheena is going to obey that restraining order. She's going to stay 100 yards away from Raquel. She's not going to contact Raquel either directly or through an intermediary. So I don't know how that's going to affect the reunion, if the reunion is going to be pushed or it's going to happen in some other way. I think that's really a question for Bravo executives.
Okay, so nobody has reached out saying that Sheena needs to be on Zoom or Raquel is going to be on Zoom, but maybe that would have to happen, right?
Potentially. Again, no one's let me or Sheena know how the reunion is going to go down. Obviously, I think Sheena would still like it to happen, but as far as the logistics, all I know is she fully intends to comply with the temporary restraining order until that permanent restraining order hearing, at which time she can be heard and hopefully she'll prevail, in which case this restraining order will go away entirely.
Right. I mean, I don't think that this would happen, but what would happen if Raquel reached out to Sheena during all of this?
Well, even if Raquel reaches out, I mean, if Sheena responds, I mean, that would be a violation of the order. So I would instruct, Sheena not to communicate with Raquel, even if Raquel were to reach out.
Definitely. How is Sheena feeling in all of this, as we're just a couple weeks away from her hearing?
Well, needless to say, she's upset. They used to be friends. She viewed Raquel as a little sister, always took care of her, trusted her, brought her into her home. So the fact that she would, turn around and file this police report and seek this restraining order, I mean, she's really upset, but anyone that knows Scheana Shay knows that she's a fighter and she's not going to back down, and she fully intends to go forward and litigate this restraining order issue and show the court and the world what the truth is if necessary.
Definitely. I mean, does Sheena think that Tom and Raquel are still together? Are they going to show up to this reunion together? It's the $1,000,000 question.
I don't know. I have no idea. I think we all got to tune in to find out. It's going to be a very interesting reunion.
The scandal that has taken over the world, right? All right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. And this is another topic that has gotten a lot of people talking, especially on Legally Us. A lot of people have opinions on this one. So Michael Lockwood has filed a new petition to become the guardian of his and Lisa Marie's Presley's twin daughters amid the Presley's family's will battle. So in his petition, he has asked to represent his 14-year-old daughter's interests in the ongoing estate case. So Priscilla filed to contest Lisa Marie's will, alleging that a 2016 amendment featured an invalid signature. She claimed that she and Lisa Marie's former business manager were original co-trustees before the late addition removed their names in favor of Riley and her late son, Benjamin. Priscilla, for her part, believes that the 2016 amendment was forged. And as Lisa Marie's will stands, Riley is the sole trustee of her mother's estate following Benjamin's death, and Riley, Harper, and Finley are all listed as beneficiaries of the trust. So will Michael be granted this, and what exactly does this mean?
Yeah, so much going on here. And we all know that Lisa Marie and Michael were involved in a custody dispute before Lisa Marie tragically passed. So Michael is going to be the guardian of the children and also going to be the guardian ad litem. Ad litem is a Latin term, means for the suit. So with respect to the probate matter, to the extent that the twins are beneficiaries of the trust, Michael will be their guardian. So he's going to ensure that they receive what they're entitled to under the terms of the trust.
Got it. So what is the interest in this case, since Riley is the sole trustee, correct? And once they come of age, does something else get redistributed? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so whenever you're dealing with a trust, you have two types of people, two parties. You have the trustee. He or she is going to manage the money, manage the property for the benefit of the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries, of course, are going to be Riley herself and her twin sisters. So, on one hand, you have Priscilla, who wants to be the trustee, but there's no question that the beneficiaries of the trust are Lisa Marie's children. And that's what this dispute is all about. And to the extent that the twins are beneficiaries right now and they do receive money, that money would be managed by the guardian ad litem to the extent that it's received now. So that would be Michael. So there's a lot that's going on, but for all intents and purposes, to the extent that the amendment controls, Riley is going to manage the entire proceeds of the trust. So it can be Graceland, it could be something else. I mean, everything that really Lisa Marie owned for the benefit of herself and her sisters.
Yeah. So there were some reports going around that Michael and Priscilla are reportedly very close. Could that, and Lisa Marie and Michael, like you were saying before, had a really contentious relationship. They were going through a custody battle. So since Michael and Priscilla are close, could that harm Riley's case if they team up against her? Or is that not really, would that not really?
Well, it's certainly a possibility, right? The beneficiaries may always have a claim against the trustee for mismanaging the trust. So, the way it's supposed to work is Riley's supposed to manage everything for the benefit of all the beneficiaries. And if the beneficiaries disagree with how the trustee is managing things, well, we could have a dispute. Well, in this case, the beneficiaries are too young. The twins are too young to file any claim on their own. So Michael would step in and file a claim on their behalf.
Got it. And there were some reports, they were denied, but that Riley changed the locks at Graceland, kind of kicked Priscilla out. If she wanted to do that, could she?
She could, as the trustee, if she determines that action is in the best interest of the beneficiary, she absolutely can. I mean, let's not forget, Priscilla is an ex-wife. She's not a trustee. She's not a beneficiary. As things currently stand, she really has no legal claim to any of Lisa Marie's property.
Interesting. And so the court date is scheduled for next month. What exactly do you foresee being resolved in all of this? Where do you kind of see this ending?
So this is a will contest or a trust dispute. Obviously, Priscilla is going to try to contest that 2016 amendment. She's going to say that, the change in the trust was invalid. Really, what she needed is a signature and two witnesses. Generally speaking, you don't need notarization. I don't know why she's arguing that, but she's going to say that this was invalid. It was improper. And if the amendment is improper, then the original sort of trust under which Lisa Marie put Priscilla, her mother, as trustee would control. So that's what I expect to see at the next hearing.
Interesting. All right. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Speaking of other messy situations, we got to talk about Tiger Woods. He called out his ex-girlfriend, Erika Herman, for invoking the Speak Out Act amid their messy battle over a non-disclosure agreement. So according to his filing, he said that her claims are utterly meritless, and it was an attempt to nullify the former couple's NDA, which was signed at the beginning of their relationship, which was back in 2017. So he pointed out the discrepancy in his paperwork, saying that she is a jilted ex-girlfriend, slams her reference to the Speak Out Act. And as we know, she previously sued him and his Jupiter Island, his trust in October of 2022 for allegedly kicking her out of their shared home in Florida. She argued that her now ex violated Florida's Residential Landlord Tenant Act, claiming that she was in a oral Tennessee agreement that allowed her to live on the property for up to 11 years. She had only been there for 6. She is seeking $30 million in damages, saying that he used trickery to get her out of there. So after reading Tiger's response, who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong in this situation?
Hey, Christina, after reading through everything, I think that Tiger might be right legally, but I mean, the way he handled this was poor. So, there's what you can do and what you should do. So there's really 2 separate cases or lawsuits kind of going on here. The first is Erika trying to get that NDA invalidated. So interestingly, none of the claims that she's raised so far relate to sexual assault or sexual harassment. We know, of course, that she met him when she was an employee. They were in this relationship for many years. But, these NDAs, especially when you're dealing with celebrities, have some pretty stiff penalties in terms of monetary payments that have to be made. So we don't know if Erika's trying to get that NDA invalidated so she can make an allegation or accusation publicly. Mm-hmm. Even if there's an NDA, usually that doesn't prohibit you from filing a lawsuit. Most accusations and claims in litigation are protected under the litigation privilege. So it's still too early to tell what, if any, Erika's lawyers are going to do with the Speak Out Act. Now, we do know about the second case, and that's basically the landlord-tenant case. It's saying that Tiger allegedly promised Erika that she could stay in the home and that there's this oral agreement. So that's really the only sort of accusation or allegation that's been filed so far. So it's going to be interesting to see if that goes anywhere.
Definitely. So what exactly is the Residential Landlord Tenant Act? And is he in violation of this since they were together and it seemed like it was just an oral agreement? So how can she actually prove this?
Yeah, it's essentially what it would be under any state's law where, if you have a lease, your landlord can't kick you out. And that's what Erika's alleging here, that she had this 11-year lease and she had all these years of term on the lease. Now, the challenge she's going to have, and we've seen it before with these oral agreements, right? Brad Pitt and Angelina, oral agreements, even though they're valid, they are tough to enforce. And there's also another issue here, something called the statute of frauds. And I'm not saying that anything's fraudulent, but generally speaking, any property interest of more than a year has to be in writing, can't be oral. So Erika has a tough sort of legal hurdle to clear if she's going to prove this multi-year oral lease agreement.
Right. So it seems like, was she paying rent to stay there? Is that what she's kind of arguing?
Well, she's saying that she was providing services around the house, and
Got it. Okay.
that was her part of the bargain. And in return, Tiger said she could stay there. And of course, Tiger's going to say, "Well, no, we're in a relationship. We're living together while we're dating, and now that we're not, you can no longer live there." I think what happened, that really sort of lit a fire under all of this is sort of Erika's argument that she was tricked into going on this vacation. She packs her bags, and when she gets to the airport, she's told that, hey, you've been kicked out. We're changing the locks. And that's really what upset her and maybe what sort of prompted all this litigation.
Right. So she is seeking $30 million in this. Do you think she'll get it?
I don't think so. Again, you have your proof issues with respect to the oral lease, and $30 million is a lot of damages. And Erika can ask for whatever she wants, but I can't see a jury giving someone that type of money when we're dealing with a breakup.
Right. Yeah, seriously. All right. Well, moving on to Kyle Chrisley. As we know, his family, his mom, or his stepmom, and his father are both in prison, but now he has been arrested. So a representative for Tennessee's Rutherford County Jail told us that he was booked for felony aggravated assault on March 13th. He was released after posting a $3,000 bond, but it gets pretty dark. So his boss said that Kyle assaulted him by striking him multiple times in the face and upper body. The victim stated that the defendant also displayed a fixed blade knife and threatened to kill and stab him. The police report, it said that they observed injuries to the victim's head, neck, and hand to include bruises and lacerations. Witnesses were also on the scene. He has long had some mental health and substance abuse issues. He has a 10-year-old daughter who was living with Todd and Julie, and he lost custody of her after his addiction and his 2013 arrest, which he was charged for assault. His half-sister Savannah now has custody of his daughter. So if convicted for this, how much prison time could he face for felony aggravated assault?
No, this is very serious. In Tennessee, you're looking at a minimum of 3 years, potentially a max of 15. So this is a very serious offense. This is not simple assault. This is a misdemeanor or even a low-level felony. This is something that law enforcement and prosecutors take very seriously. Yeah.
So what exactly is felony aggravated assault? Is that the worst type of assault that you can be charged with?
Yeah, it's bad. It requires something more, and that something more is inflicting serious bodily injury, which may have happened here. Use of a deadly weapon, and of course, brandishing a knife qualifies. Making those criminal threats to kill someone, or criminal history. And unfortunately, we know Kyle has some pretty significant criminal history here.
Right. What's the difference between felony aggravated assault and attempted murder then? Because if he has a knife and he has a weapon, how do they kind of differentiate the two?
Yeah, so attempted murder, it requires the intent to kill or inflict serious bodily harm. So you certainly can charge attempted murder if, for instance, there's a stabbing or something to that effect. So that would be the next level up in terms of potential charges that can be filed.
Interesting. So if he were try to get custody back of his daughter after all this, he probably wouldn't stand a chance at this point.
Probably not. I mean, this is someone that's likely going to do some prison time. He's already lost custody, because not only you're dealing with violence issues, you have substance abuse issues, there may be mental health issues. There's a lot going on. So I wouldn't expect a judge to give Kyle custody back, unfortunately.
Right. Well, speaking of the daughter, she is now in custody with Savannah, who is taken over custody, as well as her teen brother, Grayson, since her parents were sentenced to prison. So before her parents went to jail, what type of steps maybe did Savannah have to take to become the legal guardian of Chloe and her brother?
Yeah, so Savannah would have to go to a judge and ask for custody. And really, when a judge makes that determination, he or she looks at the best interest of the child. So usually judges like to place minor children with a family member, an aunt like Savannah. So that's what happened here, especially when there's so many legal problems with other folks in the family.
All right. A lot of legal news to get to this week. Neama, thank you so much for breaking it all down, as always.
Thanks, Christina. Great being on, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. Everybody keep commenting, keep subscribing. We love to see what you guys have to say. And like Neama said, we'll see you next week. For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.